What's up, MetaNerdz? This video is all about a secretly genius superweapon that was designed right after the Great Sith War. This weapon would act like an organic virus that could consume asteroids, space stations, moons, and even planets. What was this weapon, you ask? An armada of exogorths. In the years following the Great Sith War, around 3996 BBY, House of Adaska gave Adascorp a directive to figure out a way to weaponize these enormous space worms. Gorman Van Drake was the lead researcher, but his love of biology and cybernetics blinded him to the nefarious intentions of his employers. He mapped out parts of the exogorth's equivalent of a nervous system, and had a great scientific breakthrough when he demonstrated that you could control these slugs with computer devices attached to their nerve ganglion. The Royal House of Adaska started to shift their research, and had projects to attach hyperdrives to these monsters, while also seeking ways to speed up their metabolism so that they could eat and excrete as quickly as possible. All of this scared Van Drake, who realized it was no longer about understanding the biology of this mysterious silicon lifeform, but he was now designing a superweapon. Horrified, he found a way to escape the corporation, though the house launched a galaxy-spanning manhunt to try and track him down. By the time he was finally captured, the galaxy had become consumed by the Mandalorian Wars. This invaluable scientist was now being held on the royal ship of the House of Adaska, a vessel named the Arcanian Legacy. His Adascorp overlords forced him to finish a crucial aspect of the controlling device, while also finally discovering a way to increase their metabolism, driving up their hunger, and also increase their reproduction rate. To provide the right motivation, they had to capture and threaten his friends that he had been hiding out with, which were basically Van Drake's family at this point. Adaska felt like this new superweapon would make his family one of the most prominent in the galaxy, so he invited representatives from the Republic, Mandalorians, and Revankists to bid on exclusive rights to this slug-based superweapon. The plan was to allow one of these factions to conquer the rest of the galaxy with these slugs, because the House of Adaska didn't have its own large military, or had any interest in running a galactic-scale government, so Adaska would retain control of these exogorths in exchange for payment from the winning faction. He explained that the exogorths could reproduce through asexual fission, and with its hyperdrive attachments, it could be quickly sent to any target system. Fleets of these slugs could rapidly turn space stations and moons into excrement, and he even boasted that as they multiplied in a system, their numbers could get high enough to actually devour worlds. The representatives were intrigued, with Mandalor the Ultimate being willing to fight to the death for access to this superweapon. As the laser drills were working overtime to attach hyperdrives to their cyborg creations, Van Drake was overseeing the control ship. Adaska was finishing up his grand speech when the slighted scientist incapacitated the crew and commandeered the control ship. Bringing them out of their induced slumber, he activated their neural control devices and piloted the control center towards the Adaska royal ship. What was supposed to be a moment that would go down in the history books as the day House of Adaska rose to become a galactic superpower would now instead be remembered as the day that the Adaska line was devoured by its own creation. Dozens of these massive space slugs chomped through the delicious metals of the ship, which had a poetically perfect name, as the exogorths literally swallowed up the Arcanian Legacy. But Van Drake's job was not finished. With these creatures in tow, he bid farewell to his rescued friends, and led the exogorth armada out to wild space. He would remove their augmentations once out there, and let these majestic creatures roam free, far, far away from the influences of galactic politics. So that's it for the story of the exogorth superweapon. And the only behind-the-scenes fact is that this story comes from the Knights of the Old Republic Legends comic, issues 17 through 21. If you want to connect with us, help support this channel, or get your own copies of those comics, be sure to check out the links in the description. Special shout out to our supporters over on Patreon, but most important of all, remember, Star Wars will find a way to make superweapons out of anything, and the Force will be with you, always.